Welcome to the show.
Yo,
What's going on?
what's going on?
Introduce yourself to the people, please.
Not an ARX, DJ, producer, musician, model. Yeah, just typing through, I guess, all things music, fashion, nerdy about hip hop, house, garage, funky, things, soul,
Hmm,
reggae, everything in between,
beautiful.
all of the above.
When did you start it? How early did you start feeling love for music? Does your family have connection with music? It appears to be so, but please let me know if that had any effect on your love for it.
Yeah, my dad's a musician, so like he's guitar and bass player. Uh, producer from releasing records from I guess back in the 80s, but then before that in bands, especially like the whole Afro rock scene,
Nice.
jazz funk, all of that kind of time period,
Hmm.
like the 80s, and obviously like the whole session musician thing as they were doing back then, with all like the world class kind of artists and stop the pops and completely different landscape to what it is now.
Absolutely.
But that's like absorbed all of that. I guess I've just kind of continued in the footsteps, just in my own way.
Would you say your sound is R&B? It's up tempo, mid tempo. What is it?
I guess it's like R&B, also alternative, like the more alternative sound, alternative side of things. I started out in like dance music, like club music in a small scene, like UK funky,
Hmm.
different like time alias. Back then I was like really young, so I was like doing stuff on radio and online. I
Nice.
wasn't really old enough to get into the clubs, but yeah, that was like a whole different lifetime before I started doing what I'm doing now. But that's like the foundation of it, which maybe I don't tap into as much, but it's sort of there, just organically. But yeah, I guess alternative R&B is a sort of blanket sort of term. Just did a record on like Durand Bernarr's latest album
Mm.
called Bloom, which was called, I think it's called No Business. That track is probably like that's like the latest thing that's come out with friend Wiz, but that's probably in terms of like my production work sums up like the sound close to what I do. Like very like the bass line is always rocking.
Mm.
This the sound there's a groove. It's forward thinking,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's the simplicity is there. Just right to it, bare bones. But yeah,
Talking about that, let's segue into the DJ. What's your thing?
I mean, a lot of the time I'm spinning. If I'm doing like radio, I haven't really done radio as much as recent. But when I was on radio regularly on my show, then I would just go weird and wonderful and wild, which I don't always get to do in clubs, depending on who I'm playing for, what it is. A lot of times, sometimes it's just for the bag, whatever it is, or um, whatever's going on. So it's a variation, but I always try to sneak in one or two bits and bobs,
Mm.
depending on like the crowd, their knowledge, their reception. But there's always an element of me there. Uh,
But do you cater to the crowd, or do you actually give an experience that uh, uh, indulge in actually introducing them to what it is you have to offer, but also maybe give them some bits and pieces that they might be able to catch on and maybe relate more to your sound?
yeah, depending. Sometimes it's like they're not that open. The most open. There's a lot of times when I can go just all over the place. I find mainly when I'm in like Europe across. But if I'm playing like let's say in France or
Mm-hmm.
across in Europe, I usually have just free reign to just go wherever.
Mm.
And then
So you're more of a like open format type of
Mhm.
DJ.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. Cool.
yeah,
Now, since we're talking about that, the first time we got introduced to one another by our common friend Juliet. Big shout out to Juliet. Um, we had a very interesting and deep conversation about soulful music and soulful house, particularly deep house, etc. What's your take on soulful house, for example, right now in the UK, and
Yeah,
specifically talking about the UK right now?
yeah. Again, I came up under the whole like UK funky sound, which was based on imports of broken beat, the US house, soulful classic and contemporary at the time. There was like the French stuff as well, but all of it was very Afro. Not all of it, but most of it was very Afrocentric. Um, like you had what DJ Gregory was doing, which was just crazy. The Master that Work, Kenny Dope Dubs. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of like, of course, like what was going on in South Africa as well, like Quato, like DJ Cleo, DJ Doko, like, yeah, jazz,
That's right.
Ralph Gum, even like the Dennis Ferrer stuff, which was probably the biggest, the like epitome of taking that underground sound to the mainstream.
Yes, indeed.
Just like the same way like
Successfully so.
Yeah, like same way that like MK would do, but that's more like 4/4. But yeah, I was just that whole sound is like I was just obsessed with that stuff. DJ Ken, yeah, all of that. But I think even till now, I hear bits and bobs, but I always just end up going back there. Even when I go like straight away, I'm like, oh, like kind of not listen to any house, whatever. Somehow I just get back to that time.
To that time, so
Yeah.
Do you feel like it has evolved much or not at all?
I think there's an amalgamation from what I hear. In there's like strands of it. Like you have the very for like very soulful gospely house. I don't feel like that's very much its thing. And it's
Yes.
Then you've got like text, of course, like the piano, which is being in across the board.
Yes.
So that's.
And how do you feel about it? How do you like Amapiano?
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. It's pure. And
yeah.
the same. I think it's the same trajectory as like Quato.
Is it still pure, or is there bits of Amapiano that has maintained the purity or the authenticity of the sound, while a lot of it has become extremely commercialized? I'm just adding a little more nuance to see if you're looking at it that way, or for you it's just one whole thing, and whether it's commercial or not, it still is dope.
I think I like the commercial stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like even what like Tyler just incorporating elements of it.
Yes, sir.
I think that stuff. You're always gonna have like any scene. You're gonna have like purists and stuff.
Of course.
That they're gonna feel different ways about things. But I think the people that can elevate things, even though you have to, in order to take it there, you probably have to like lose something or water down things a bit.
Yeah.
But there's the element there, and that also exposes it to more people that may decide to dig deeper. Even if it's just like 10% or 1%, people will just go and dig deep. Even like with going back to like UK funky, when like Drake sampled Do You Mind, massive track by Crazy Cousins and Kyla, DJ Paleface, Flutes, that would have, yeah, it was a huge, one of his biggest tracks, but it sort of would have taken people back to UK funky. And around that time, people were talking about like I guess, renaissance. It sparked conversation and more interest into the drummers. Again, so every time that happens, someone shines light or boosts things up, whether it's like an older sound or something that's happening at the time, it's I think it's for the greater good.
I agree. It's interesting that you touched on the purists, because I've had a few conversations here about like purists and, the way people, just treat music, whether they are purists or just music fans and love music across genre, styles, whatnot. And I was having this conversation where I said, I believe that the only issue with purists is that it resides in the name. There's a sort of like need to get keep, which I think is an error. But then at the same time, I also understand the necessity to have the purists, because you still need obviously the people that will sort of like gatekeep
Yeah.
the authenticity of the sound. So you can't. It's almost like you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, I guess it keeps the essence alive, and like it won't let people get too carried away. It's like, yeah, this is cool, but remember this.
Yeah,
So yeah, I guess it's a balance.
exactly.
Yeah, best of both.
What do you think about the direction of the nightlife in the UK right now?
I think like with drum shares, it's actually interesting because I was just thinking when it comes to that level of capacity, 15,000, that's like something that's new to like me or like my gen.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen like clubs that's like not stadium, that's like arena size.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I guess it's akin to, yeah, similar to the sort of warehouse parties that was going on, maybe like some of Love Times. They may have reached that kind of capacity, like massive parties and around like the M25, like legal parties, acid house,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So I know there was quite like huge way before my time, but from what I hear, it was just a mass of people, like almost like mini festivals. So I guess it's like maybe a um commercially viable version of that, or similar in that sense.
And do you think that's gonna work? That drum shed is gonna actually last long? I mean, I guess they studied the market before they built it.
Yeah,
So
to be fair, I've been to some really good parties. There's been some really good raves and stuff, but I guess it's also like it shows how far dance music has come
yeah,
to the point where that is even a viable option,
yeah. I get you.
which is crazy because
Indeed.
yeah, my time was like just like basement clubs, most of which are like, yeah, not there, not really there anymore. Like especially like Dalston, there was like what, 8, maybe 10 clubs that like me and my friends, like loads of the scene that I came from, like we'll just all be at. I'll play at one at like the top of the hill and make my way down, bumping into people. Everyone's like just letting each other know like where they're going. Then I'll end up like across the road at this spot, and then just like make our way down like down the street. So but we might go to like 8 clubs in one night. But like when I look back
Wow.
now, like they're all gone. Like we'll have like we'll go to this place. Oh, like my friend's playing here, I'm playing there. Then I will go to the next spot, and then we'll go to that spot till like 6. Like especially like Visions, we'll all end up at Visions. But then yeah, that's like 6 a.m. and then we'll go to the next place, like someone else's, our friend's bar. Yeah, we'll go to like our mate's bar for like 8, like lock in. We'll go to someone else's bar for a lock in. We'll end up at someone's house. But like that doesn't really, yeah, doesn't exist in the same.
Anymore.
Yeah, I mean the next people young, yeah, maybe there's like other stuff going on that I don't know about. But from what I see, that's kind of like lost. Because like a lot of those clubs, again, like every one of those clubs are shut. And like, yeah, London's just in a different space, I guess. We're just in a different plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to what you're saying, because again, I see that as well. But at the same time, with every generation, with every decade, there is, out with the old, in with the new, right? And so I feel like there's a strong energy of driving that new force, that new sort of like flavor, which is, I guess, those sound bars and stuff. And just like anything new, time for people to figure out how to monetize it or how to turn this into a viable business for DJs. In the meantime, it allows, which I found something really, really cool, is that there's a bunch of like new DJs coming in. Like people who just started to play 6 months ago, a year ago. And I'm very impressed with their technicality. Some of them that I listen to. Yeah. Because I've been attending quite a few events since I've been here in London. Yeah. And I'm very impressed by the quality of the DJs, ladies and gents alike. It was very, very, very nice to see obviously the sound is is one that you've heard before because it requires a little bit of research for a lot of them. But then for those who really get it right, oh man, on top of the technicality, have a DJ that can take you on these journeys and really give you that feeling that okay, yeah, you just went through a voyage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's impressive, you know.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I went to Amsterdam. I went to Amsterdam for the first time. I was like, yo, like everyone's sick. Why is everyone so good? But yeah, I guess as well, within like the news DJs, sort of like stepping up now is different to like say 10 years ago because technology wise as well, like it's completely different. And obviously everyone's had conversations around like the sync button and this, that, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
The sync button is a bit of
but like the tech, but at the same time, like all that stuff gets at the core of it, it's all about the ideas and the sound and getting your personality across.
Sure.
Barrier to entry is lowered, so it allows more people to get involved and share music and have their say and their sound. You don't always just have to, but now you don't just have to start on vinyl, which I also love and I did. But at the same time, I also embraced
the digital.
Yeah, and I did. I was using like virtual DJ at the same time as learning how to be matched on vinyl.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it's all about moving forward with the times.
Well, soon enough, you're going to become an OG yourself. And how do you feel about that potentiality?
And when the time comes,
let's
have it.
Yeah, let's have it. Man, well, thank you very much for this conversation. I really had a good time again, and we keep having great times whenever. It's the second time we're meeting actually.
Yeah.
And it feels like we've had this conversation ongoing, and it's always refreshing.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. And again, any news, any upcoming project that people might need to know about, where they can actually listen to you. Let's share the good news, if any.
Right now, I mean, there's a lot, but it's like it's all being tied up, so there's nothing I can really like say that like, oh yeah.
You have upcoming stuff.
Yeah.
Should we? Are there projects with like major artists or not necessarily indie? What's the kind of profile we're looking at? As in, you did a lot of stuff for others, but not necessarily under your name, or a mix of both?
Mix of both. So like bigger artists in terms of production and like stuff that I'm writing on, projects that I'm writing on. But like their projects aren't even, like their albums aren't even announced yet, so I'll leave that up to them.
You leave that to them, yeah.
And then I've got I'll have like a joint project come in at some point later this year as well, like another artist. But we'll announce that, I guess, a bit later.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Probably have you back on the show then.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think, in terms of what you were saying about Soulful House and where it's at, I think I can hear a lot of sounds from the time that I'm talking about in sort of like newer stuff. For example, I mean, when I first heard It Makes You Forget by Peggy Goo.
Okay.
And when I heard that, it's like, that's the sound I'm talking about. That's like and I remember I first heard that, I was like, yo, what is this? Because it just sounded timeless. Crazy. It cut through.
Yeah.
It sort of like flirted with the mainstream. But it was also like Nature Underground record.
Sure.
It just had that pure groove from that whole time. Also, you kind of had that similarity of like the Larry Heard, Mr. Fingers kind of sound.
Yes.
80s stuff as well. But yeah.
Before I leave this conversation with you, we gotta touch on Afro House, man. What's your take on that sound? How do you like it, first and foremost?
Yeah, I do. I love it. To be honest, I don't think I think I need to get digging again. I don't think I'm up on it.
Thank you.
I sort of I guess my intro into it, maybe cliche at this point, was like Black Coffee.
It's not cliche, man. It's very relevant.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mentioned like Greyto and stuff, which
you did well, because you definitely did your work when it comes to the knowledge of the music.
Yeah. And then you know the likes of like Kudo the Song and
Sir.
uh yeah, people like that, and like Jeff, like they DJ
Yeah,
F.
yeah, Jeff, yes. Also known as Jeff Afrozilla back in the days. Yeah.
Then like a lot of the sort of even a lot of the UK stuff was kind of similar, like like the Rest of Soul and like
Yes.
Phil Asher, like Tortured
Rest in
Soul.
peace. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Um. Yeah. It's like Nick Holder. Not really.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Toronto represents.
Yeah. There's. Yeah. I need to basically just refresh and just see what's going on.
So I guess we're gonna have to do a session
Yeah. Yeah.
and go through some sounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, you know this shit. Actually, I know a lot of you don't know some of the names you mentioned. So if you don't, go do your research. And obviously, this is not addressed to for those of you who know, who understand the music and the culture, obviously. But with that being said, family, have a blessed rest of your week. To the next one.